held, he didn't talk about democracy. Now, I know there are a lot of people that are talking about this is good for the Venezuelan people because Maduro was a bad guy, but that's not why he did it. He has not cared about Venezuelans at all. Let me be clear about that part.
That's true.
And here's the receipt. The Enemy Aliens Act, which most of us had never heard of because it's from the 1700s, he invoked it specifically because of Venezuelans. He said, we are being attacked and invaded by Venezuelans. That was number one.
All right. So that was the number one lie. That was the first lie she told. She's, first of all, I'll say misinformation. She said the Enemies Act was used for Venezuelans. Gang members, Trinidad Aragua Venezuelans. It wasn't just regular Venezuelans. It was gang members, illegals. Shelley, can you elaborate on that?
Yes, and if I'm not mistaken, President Trump said that at the time, and since then, and other people in the administration. So she's lying. And then I wanted to point out: did you all catch that little subtle accent that she's trying to fake now? Mm-hmm. This little fake subtle accent. But she's going to have the receipts, and she's trying to talk like a little slightly Southern, a little slightly more sophisticated. But the Enemies Aliens Act, yes, many people knew about it. You may just be finding out about it, but President Trump has been talking about that and using that in the Supreme Court last year. So no, it's not just a new thing with this particular incident in Venezuela over the weekend, which she's trying to tie that together. But yeah, let's keep going.
Nicole, is this a major misinterpretation of what President Trump said and his policy?
No. So here's the thing. Jasmine Crocket, how can I say this nicely? Well, she's done with a box of rocks. Let's just do that. How are you a sitting U.S. congressman and the Enemies Aliens Act is the issue for you? How do you not know that? Especially since this was not just a thing now. Trump 1.0 talked about it. Mike Lee has talked about it endlessly. It has been debated all over Capitol Hill. What can we do to defend ourselves from Trinidad Aragua, from MS-13, from all of these criminal gangs, because they come here as teenagers, right? Unaccompanied minors. And Americans say, listen, we'll take them in, no problem. We'll love them up, give them some food, and apparently a daycare. They can make some change, right? And then they turn around and they get into these gangs, the same gangs that they, quote unquote, were running from, the reason why they were seeking asylum in the first place. And they rape, rob, and pillage. She's from Texas. Houston had a huge problem with TDA. Huge problem. Are you serious? You don't know that? She's so unserious as a legislator.
Yeah. Here she is again. She's continuing with it. Let's keep going.
Next thing that you know, CCOT, that's where he was sending Venezuelans. Remember the 60-minute episode that they did not want to air about how they were treating them, mistreating them at CCOT? That's where he sent Venezuelans. Then after that, he was illegally killing folk, saying that, oh, well, they're bringing drugs because it was supposedly about fentanyl, which is not where we get fentanyl,
no, it isn't.
To be clear. So then he killed over 100 people with these bombs that he was dropping. And then when he went.
All right. So let's talk about that. She's talking about the actual military operation that was just done to arrest Maduro and his wife. What are your thoughts there, Shelley?
First of all, I don't even know what she's saying. The CCOT prison is where many people go, or they're in prison there. And President Trump, if I'm not mistaken, what's his name? Albrego, whatever. He was sent there along with some other people, but these people were illegals. They are illegals here. They don't belong here anyway. And that's number one. Number two, as far as this operation, this was lawful. I'll say lawful, okay? In as much as I have read, understand, under the War Act, it's lawful. Congress has been notified within 24 hours or 48 hours, and they have up to 60 days to do so. It was only a joint operation. No American soldiers or military men were injured or killed. And even I think it was just one piece of equipment that was damaged, I think. But what is she talking about? This was under the purview of President Trump and the joint operation that happened. I don't know what she's talking about. CCOT is a prison. Prisoners go to CCOT.
Yeah. Nicole, you heard what she's trying to misinformed on who was killed in the operation and why. Can you speak to that?
She's trying to build the case that Trump is a little tiny Maduro.
Right.
This is what she's trying to do. And it shows that, her lack of legal skill, because, Stevie Wonder saw this coming.
Right.
Anytime that there's anything press-worthy or newsworthy, they're going to roll her out like a cheap carpet because she's trying to fight for this Senate seat. She's doing her best. And they've already run off the gentleman who was planning to run from the Democrat side. He stepped away, although, he gave Ted Cruz a run for his money. Right. So he stepped away so Jasmine could have it all to herself. But she's so very unserious. And I get that she's shilling for the Democrats, but sometimes you have to cheer for your home nation so people take you seriously.
Exactly.
It's not just conservatives who wanted Maduro gone. The world wanted him gone. The handful of people who didn't want him gone are other nations that send their drugs into the United States to kill us. Now, her district that she currently serves, South Dallas, that area, has a significant drug problem. Significant. You would think that it wouldn't matter to her what kind of drugs they were bringing, that she would want them gone, that she would cheer and say, okay, I don't like the way it went down, but it needed to happen. I'm not happy with her not, being happy that the American warfighters did their thing. But at least then I could see that she actually has the mental horsepower to connect the dots to see that this is good for America. By saying, oh no, everything's bad and Trump is just like Maduro, it makes her seem fake, phony, uncredentialed, very unserious. I don't know how else to say that. She's making the case that not only should she not be elected as a senator, I would be hard pressed to vote for her for any legislative position.
Yeah.
She's just not smart.
No. Dumb as a box of rocks. Dumb as a box of rocks. She's as fake as that synthetic hair on her head. Okay. Let's take a look at what she finishes with this. Take a look.
To get Maduro, he kills even more Venezuelans. This ain't about Venezuelans. I get that there are people that don't like the leader, but guess what? There are a lot of people that don't like our leader. And regardless, somebody coming into the United States and grabbing our leader in the middle of the night and killing people in this country, I'm sure everybody would be outraged at them doing it that way.
Yes. It's the way that it's done. But nobody stops. It's the way that it was done. Nobody stops.
I'm trying, Joy. I'm trying.
Oh my God. These menopausal shrews make me sick. All right. First off, another thing. President Trump won office through competitive elections. He went through a primary and a general election where they were certified by the states, courts, and Congress. Nicolas Maduro rigged elections. He banned opposition parties and jailed political opponents. That actually was done to President Trump. Okay. So the comparison she's trying to make is just non-existent. All right. It really, she's really reaching here. And as you mentioned, Nicole, she's just not credible and she's not serious. Really. I hope people who are listening to this crap, you guys need to have your heads examined.
What she's doing is, what Jasmine is doing is she's expressing what she wants to happen to President Trump. That's really her dream. You got two licensed attorneys there, Sonny and Jasmine, and both of them need to give the school back their damn money. I mean, you got two of them. Even put together, they can't come up with a coherent legal argument. Okay, I'm not an attorney, and I can do better than they are. Than they're doing. So she's expressing what she wants to happen. That's number one. Number two, she said something about if President Trump, if somebody came in the country. President Trump is, like you say, number one, he's legally elected, right? And not only that, there were no military Americans injured. She has no joy and no support for that at all. This is her nightmare dream, if you will. This is her nightmare that she is wishing. These people, again, I will say it again, they hate America. They certainly hate President Trump. They want us to be like Venezuela is right now, El Salvador, anything else. If Jasmine had her way, she would put President Trump in CCOT.
Oh, yeah.
She definitely would. But, you know, here's the reality of the situation. We've seen this since it was made public that the strike happened. And you've seen Democrat leader after Democrat leader try to figure out how they can get around the fact that they too wanted Maduro gone. How can we score political points? What this says to the American people is they care more about scoring political points than they do about our nation. It paints a picture of no matter what happens, we're going to side with the other people. We're never going to stand with this nation. And it makes it really hard for me to make the mental jump to look at her and say, she has what it takes to be a United States senator, because the Senate is a deliberative body. This is where all the thinking goes. You know, the House of Representatives has a ton of people in it, 400 plus people serving. The Senate is much smaller. It makes graver decisions, right? We talk about impeaching people, high-ranking people, including a president. They talk about advice and consent of the Senate for judges. You're supposed to be thoughtful. You should be able to have the ability to move from point A to point B without doing this, right? She doesn't have that capability. And I'm not trying to be mean, but you guys can watch it for yourself. Her words speak for themselves, especially now that she's trying to clean herself up. Shelley made some very good observations that, you know, she's trying to tone down the look. She's trying to pick up the language, and she's doing more media. Unfortunately, she's you know, getting a little Kamala-esque with the word salad. The media is not doing so great for her. Donald Trump was duly elected. Maduro was not. No one in the world thinks he was duly elected. Not anybody. This man was not someone who was disliked. He's a monster, Jasmine. He's a monster. The United States Department of State put out 176 pages about his human rights violations. The UN put out almost 300 pages. Go outside. The people who are out there saying, dancing in the street, thank God he's gone, they'll tell you the horror stories of what this man has done. It's not that they didn't like him, kind of like you don't like President Trump. This man was a monster. An absolute monster. It's not the same. It is not the same. Someone on your staff should have told you that.
Oh yeah, I think she knows, but she's betting on the lies and enough people believing it that will get her over the hump. Okay, and as you mentioned, we know President Trump has been expanding economic freedom. Maduro crushed it. Okay, he cut taxes for all Americans, all right, all working Americans. He's deregulated businesses. He's strengthened private property rights. While we have people like Maduro, dictators like him, and his flunkies like Mondami, who is Mondami, I'm going to start calling them. They want to nationalize industries. They want to take away our property rights, our private property rights. They want to collapse the economy, or at least that's what Maduro did, into massive poverty. So, folks, we see you can't fall for this crap. You can't fall for it. We know what's going on, and we're going to continue to Derek Chauvin these Democrats. We're going to continue to keep our knees on their necks. All right.